Hi, all. This episode, I'm going to concentrate a little bit more on what I taught last week, part of Tara Brach's ideas on how to allow emotion. But this time, I'm going to actually try to run you through it. So, if you are a client and you are trying to allow or process an emotion from a difficult experience that you'd had, or you have resentment or blame you're holding towards someone right now, this is the way that I would do this session with you. And so you can actually do this process right now on this podcast if you want to. So the very first work is to name the emotion that you're feeling. And it's always caused by your thoughts, remember. And sometimes we don't want to just change our thoughts to feel better because often that is the shortcut and it doesn't work. So this is the work to do if you actually want to feel mad, if you actually want to feel resentment or hurt or judgment for a bit. This is an important part of the work is validating, accepting how you're feeling right now and hearing it and being aware that it's even there. So one way that I start is closing my eyes and taking deep breaths because we're trying to feel the emotion in our body. And often our minds are in the past or the future instead of right here. Like, yeah, I'm feeling this way because he did this or she did that. Or I think they're going to do this in the future. And this is why I'm feeling resentment. So we want to stay right here with our bodies for this work. So I close my eyes, collect myself, breathe. I wait until I am right here. So I'm going to wait just a minute while you do that. All right. So think of someone, could be your spouse or anyone you're holding blame towards. It could also be just a feeling of judgment or resentment or hurt, something you're holding on to that pushes someone out of your heart in some way. Keep this person in mind and the situation that felt like a violation to you or that hurt you, and get curious and ask yourself, why are you feeling what you're feeling? If you were forced to give up this story, this what difficult emotion would you be sitting with? Would you be feeling right now? And just name one word. You could be feeling 10 words, but we just focus, simplify it on one word. So let's say that is blame. Now, of course, blame is going to manifest itself somewhere in your body. It's an unpleasant feeling, and you may feel the sense that something wrong with you because we've been taught to suppress our emotions and they or reject them or resist them in some way. But every emotion is intelligence. They're there for a reason. And you have a really good reason for the emotion you feel right now. It feels like it's a way to protect yourself from further pain. And you feel like you have no control if you allow this emotion. You fear that you could be violated again in the same way. You may even realize that you are the one in the wrong. That's also a hard one to come to. Often we believe that forgiving means being okay or condoning what happened between us. We can forgive, we can allow our feelings, we can process them without condoning or agreeing with anyone, what they said and what they did. Forgiving just frees our own hearts. And part of the work of forgiving is allowing the emotion that you felt when you were feeling rejected, uncomfortable, sad, hurt. You can let go of the thought that they are bad or you are bad and still set boundaries around never allowing whatever happened to happen again. Remember that boundaries are what you will do to take care of yourself. They don't involve anything they will do. So you don't say, you leave the room if you do that, or you do this, or you do that, as we can't control what anyone does. When you feel difficult emotions, you can't make yourself forgive. You can practice thoughts of forgiveness, but especially for really difficult situations, quickly forgiving mentally is premature forgiveness, and it doesn't stick. And I've experienced this. My heart was still unhealed, but my brain was trying to forgive. Only being willing to intentionally feel the emotion inside of you opens the door enough for this process of forgiveness to completely unfold and change everything. You don't have to forgive all at once. It's often not a one and done event. Remember that even a degree to deliberately release blame starts the healing process. So moving in the right direction is monumental. It is the work. Our spirit tells us that feeling blame, resentment, anger, judgment, unkindness, it's not who we want to be, regardless of what anyone else does. Just like last week's episode, our golden Buddha, we've maybe covered ourselves with clay, trying to protect ourselves, but the true identity and divine potential we have deep inside knows that these emotions are occurring and that they are not who we are. And we can't shine our light. We can't be who we are. We can't be lighthearted and happy and fun and enjoy our lives when we feel these all the time. Jack Canfield said it this way: in Buddhist psychology, forgiveness is not presented as a moral commandment, thou shalt forgive. It's understood as a way to end suffering, to bring dignity and harmony to our life. I really like that. Forgiveness is fundamental for our own sake, for our own mental health, and I'd say our own emotional health. It's a way to let go of the pain we carry. This is illustrated by the story of two ex-prisoners of war who meet after many years. When the first one asks, have you forgiven your captors yet? The second man answers, no, never. Well, then, the first man replies, they still have you there in prison, don't they? For most people, the work of forgiveness is a process. Practicing forgiveness, we may go through stages of grief, rage, sorrow, fear, and confusion. As we let ourselves feel the pain we still hold, forgiveness comes as a relief, a release for our heart in the end. Forgiveness acknowledges that no matter how we may have suffered, we will not put another human being out of our heart. So there is a place in us that knows that peace and forgiving is the pathway. Someone called Joko Beck said it this way: failure to know joy is a direct reflection of our inability to forgive. So let me say that one more time. Failure to know joy is a direct reflection of our inability to forgive. And in 2 Nephi 2:25, it states, Adam fell that men may be, or that they might be, and men are that they might have joy. So it's a profound truth that God's purpose for our lives is for us to have joy. So, and if the way to have joy is to forgive, then we have to allow the emotions that will give us the ability to do this. So how do we release our pent up emotions? Emotional maturity requires becoming more willing to sit with the discomfort of the emotion. We get scared of this. Most people that I try to just have sit with their emotions will go directly to start thinking thoughts about why they're feeling the emotion, trying to get themselves out of their bodies again. But emotions are just vibrations in your body. And as difficult as they may be in the most difficult of situations, they can't truly hurt you physically, but definitely cause inner suffering. This is why our primitive brain wants us to repress or reject the emotions that we think will feel scary to us. They feel protective. How do we become more willing? This is the acronym that I like to use. First, think of the emotion that you want to forgive or that is causing you to blame someone, and name it. Name it to tame it, notice it, figure out what it is first, just one emotion. Then we're going to observe it. This is own. Owning your emotions, OWN. The first is observe. So look and find it, become curious, investigate where it is. It's somewhere in your body, and start to loosen the armor around this. Before forgiving, you have to feel softening towards this emotion. And when you're blaming someone else from a wounded place inside, you can't feel sympathy and compassion for yourself. So don't worry about trying to forgive mentally. Like if your spouse cheated, this is not the season to forgive. You would observe this feeling and allow it to be there. Remember, emotions are intelligence. There's a reason. Say it's okay. This is all right to feel this way. Anyone would feel this way who'd had this happen and has your brain and your body. Investigate how this experience is presenting and really get in touch with your suffering. And this will help you be able to get in touch with others suffering in the future. Some people like to put their hand on their heart. I've never done that, but it's very powerful. I like to just feel like Christ is sitting next to me. But become aware of this inner relationship in your body with your spirit and your mind. And tell yourself, I care, I'm here. Give yourself compassion. If it helps you, say that Christ is here with you. And this helps a bunch. I also like to take deep breaths because this helps me to stay with my emotion. Often my brain will try to get me out of it, but if you are having a hard time with your brain pulling you away from the body, that you just say, no, brain, we're doing emotions right now. We're doing the healing of my body. So I'm just going to stay right here. And to just remember that this relationship that you've armored with against someone, you have to explore that in order to let go of it. So this whole process will just awaken a quality of forgiveness. And it doesn't have to be super long. It can be brief. It's often not a one and done. This can be emotionally draining. So if I've done the work, I'll go back and check in, a week later, a few days later, see if I think about the situation, if the exact same emotion hits my body in the same way. That means I have some more work to do, to sit with it, to be okay with it, to understand it, to hear it. So this pressure or heat or sense that it's going to hurt you, it's okay. It feels dangerous, but it's not. Just let your feelings be there. Feel the hurt. The most difficult part is that you will feel vulnerable, but it's not physically painful. So I feel like what's needed most is just to imagine Christ as you start to do this work and just giving your burden to him. And this will nourish the inside of you, and see if you can just let it be there and be willing to just say words like, it's okay, I'm sorry, I love you, I'm here, not going away, just whatever you think that Christ would say to you, or someone who loves you very much would say to you if they knew you were feeling this. So feel it in your own timing, just in your own way, through the eyes of compassion for yourself and for the other person. Part of this is accepting how we feel, but also accepting how they were feeling. What was going on for them? Are they wounded? How are they disappointed or feeling lack of self-confidence or self-doubt or inadequacy or fear or suffering themselves? And it's a more natural extension of forgiveness when you realize that you were both suffering when this was happening. You can say, I see the pain you caused me, and it's my intention to forgive you. And I also understand the pain I was feeling, and it's my intention to forgive myself. So this will start to work. You'll sense shifts that occur. It's just like thought work. At first, it doesn't feel like anything's happening, and you wonder if you're doing it right, and you think it might not be working. But just know if you're moving in the right directions towards opening up a tender space in yourself for these emotions, noticing that they're there, noticing the direction that they're moving in, this is going to start generating light and truth and knowledge and love in your life. All right, guys, hope that this helps. And remember to seek and expect miracles. I know I've had so many miracles in my life, and I like to look every single morning at the day before to see the tender mercies that God has shown me in my life. Okay, we'll talk to you next week, and have a great week.